Standup Comedy, your host and MC, presents Comedy Appetizers, a podcast where you will find short comedy sets, stories, and funny bits from the famous and not so famous. Here is your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. This is Comedy Appetizers, and we have something fun and special for you. This is my good friend. He's out of Reno, Nevada, but this guy has worked all over. In fact, he has a show coming up in a casino in just a couple weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my good friend and very funny comic, Marc Yaffee. Wow, Marc. I know you've been working shows from coast to coast. You were telling me you've got a casino gig coming up. Are the audiences different in a casino?
They can be, you know what I mean? It's depending how much money the casino's taking from the customers, the crowds can get a little.
If they're winning or losing, affects the audience, right?
I like to call the comedy clubs inside the casinos the refugee center, gambler's refuge. Yeah.
When they need a break from the machines.
Exactly. So it really depends if people are invested. If they're, doing the free show, and then generally it's the people they're dragging in because they're upset they lost, or, the wife's nagging at them. They go, you got to get away from the machine. Or if it's a paid show, then people are invested. You know how that goes. So, I like the investment crowd, but trust me, if it's a casino gig and I'm getting paid, I don't care if they paid or not.
Yeah, no, you just want an audience that's engaged, and I agree with you that if they pay money for the show, even if it's $5-10, at least they're invested in having a good time, and I think that always makes for a better audience. Now, you must have some jokes that work around the casinos.
Oh yeah, well, let's see.
or maybe not.
Always material. There's always material in casinos. That's why I love people watching. My favorite is the superstitious gamblers. The super swipers trying to rub their way to a fortune at the slots of fun. They're tapping and swirling. I was behind this guy the other day. Last time I was in Vegas, I was at the Mirage. This guy's at the screen. He's tapping and smacking and rubbing. I'm like, sir, hurry up. This is an ATM.
So he wasn't even at a slot machine. Well, I know what you're talking about. Some of these people are rubbing those handles like, in an erotic way.
Yeah, they have. Some people are quite intimate with they're really in love with those machines. I have a feeling they care more about the bingo and the slot machines than some of their relatives. Now, if it's a dog, that's a different story because dogs are the new kids. But that's another topic. My other thing I like to do at the casinos is, of course, the free buffet. I was down in Laughlin. The buffet is contact sport. I don't know if you've been on the Laughlin. These people, they take that seriously. I've seen 3 bar fights in my adult life. I've seen 5 dessert bar fights in Laughlin.
It's in the buffet, so you only get what they put out, and people are fighting for the small offerings in the dessert section. That's hilarious.
In Laughlin, that last slice of cherry pie is fighting words.
Well, Laughlin, Nevada, great place to hang out if you like cheap food, right?
Vegas on life support.
Do you ever play the table games? Are you a gambler?
Yeah, I like the blackjack. I was at a tribal casino in Wisconsin out there playing recently. Didn't go so well. I was at the Ho Chunk Tribal Casino. I'm now a member of the Ho Chunk Tribe, but honorary member because I lost a whole chunk of money.
You became an honorary member by losing so much. And I didn't mention to the audience, you're actually an American native comic. So working the Indian casinos.
I'm actually Mexican, Irish, Navajo. I'm Mexico. So I'm part Navajo,
part Irish,
crappy gambler.
Yeah. There's a little mix in that creamed coffee. Okay, yeah. So when you, as an Indian, play an Indian casino, you are kind of investing in yourself, huh?
Well, it depends on the tribe. The money doesn't always trickle back, but I love supporting Native American children's education, so I try to donate regularly. That's what I call my nonprofit.
There you go. You can write it off at the end of the year as a donation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Marc Yaffee, keep an eye out. He's playing cruise ships and casinos and clubs all around the country. One of the funniest and cleanest acts out there. Marc, thanks for joining us today and sharing a little bit of your casino life as a comic.
Thank you, Scott.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you get to Laughlin, check out that great buffet, but don't fight over the cherry pie. Thanks for listening to Comedy Appetizers. We'll see you next week for another great show. And don't forget Sunday, our regular podcast, Standup Comedy, your host and MC. Thanks, Mark, for joining us. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Comedy Appetizers. Be sure to share with family and friends, and we will see you this Sunday for our regular podcast, your host and MC, and again next Friday for another episode of Comedy Appetizers. Bye.